And we are live. Hello, everyone. Good to be with you. I'm so happy to be with you. Okay, this is Monday on Astral Oracles. I'll do the technical stuff first, and then I'll extend my thanks, and then we'll get into the live channeling. But first of all, it seems like I upload the thumbnails and then they show sometimes, but when I go to the live streaming page, it's just a blank gray image. So I hope you're getting the pretty images that I try to pick out for these, but YouTube acts up sometimes. Also, I can see friend of because sometimes it eats the different comments here and questions. And friend of the show, Cheyenne, asked beforehand that in the top of the feed, which has disappeared now, but he asked about how his past lives influenced his present career opportunities and what he could look into in the future. So that's the point, and I'll ask someone to remind me if I lose track of it. But I believe that was that, and that will be the first question answered. And then I want to thank Kevin and Natalie. Kevin who gives every time, and Natalie, who has been so kind to not only make several donations but also make a recurring donation. And I'm really happy and moved and content with the community and the love that's growing up around this practice. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your likes and your participation. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for sharing if you feel called to do so. And also thank you for donating if you want to give to the work and me. And I think that is everything. So glad to see that you're already there. And hi AJ, and good evening Jana, and Debbie, and Nuavi. Good to see you. Another you, also good to see you. Um, Hi Laura. Very good to have you here. So lovely to see you. And um, Thailish, very good that you're here too. Lovely. And Autumn Rose. So with all the preliminaries in place, I hope you're also prepared for evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you may find yourself of channeling. And I look forward to checking in with our buddy Danver. So let me know if there's any technical stuff, or otherwise just shoot with your questions. And I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad to be here. Much love. Greetings, everyone, dear humans. I am Danver of the Pleiadian Nordics. Many of you have communicated with me before. All of you are acquainted with our energy. See, we are the Master Seed race, the first race to be, among others, interacting with the human genetic code, working on it, heading this experiment of humanity into new directions. And therefore, I come to communicate with you this evening. I come to speak words of power from the Pleiades. I come to point you to the presence of the presence We know this is a tired pun in spiritual circles, but when I speak to you, I, Danver of the Nordic Pleidians, so happy to be with you, so proud to see you grow, so loving in this affirmation of our interaction, our connection, and our mutual gifts and sharing in the progress that we unfold and uncover in this process. I, Danver of the Nordic Pleidians, I want to tell you that you humans, you were created with a mind of sequence. And so when I point to the presence of the presence, I point to these things that reside within your experience of the moment. See, we wanted to see whether or not we could build a race in time that would be able to align the influx of the lower passions with the orchestration of the higher passions. And so far, you have done okay, at least on these timelines. You are entering into periods of great prosperity, peace, and discovery. You are learning that humanity is one, and as one, you will go forward into the future. It may seem quite intangible now, but it is the place that you are moving towards. And so we give you a lot of our separation experience to play around with. And this separation, you do well with it. Many of you have come into contact with yourself. Many of you listening to this message are now in full contact with your multidimensional selves, and you are beginning to see them grow and unfold in the world. Therefore, there are many powers here. It is the stories you tell yourself. It is the present moment constructed by these stories and headed towards a place with certain actions and certain scenes going before it and certain scenes, well, statistically probable to follow. This statistical probability is an intuition of yours. And so you may notice that the statistical properties of your mind, they are moving into new places. You are allowing yourself to calculate for new options. This is, in a sense, the allowance of miracle. So you could say that without you having noticed much, many of you have moved into the place where statistically you anticipate and move into greater experience. You see more of them more frequently, and the lulls and the lows, they seem also with a certain promise of highs to come and with certain lessons to teach you. These are all gifts you unwrap in the present. This is the place where you structure that story and find out where you are heading from where you are going. And so move into this occurrence that you are and let it unfold in you in a string of events that becomes one woven image of you, one brocade of a personality that then mirrors the universe in its own understanding of itself. Therefore, I, Danver of the Nordic Pleiadians, I bid you love, I bid you compassion, I bid you guidance, I bid you wisdom. Blessings you have from us, but a blessing you are to us as well, teaching us much. Therefore, love to you, humans. And please bring your questions forward, and I shall be so happy to answer them. Oh, interesting guy. And then, oh yes, we were heading to Shyam's question, so I'm glad I remembered. Yes, this question, to reiterate, it has to do with this person, our friend Shyam Lal. We believe the name is, and that is the operation that this set of vocal cords and physicality is able to bring forward. So reiterating the question, it has to do with his idea of his past lives coming forward and shaping into his future. And so notice again here that his trajectory is already one that is informed by his multi-dimensionality. He becomes an example to all of you of how these things will flow into your existence. See, it would be good for you, dear friend, to explore the idea of salesmanship. That is to say, you have created something before and then you have sold it. But in this lifetime, you will have joy, pleasure, success also in acquiring objects and moving them into the right hands for profit. This is the idea of the merchant. Former life is coming forward. In this lifetime, we see you in a dusty marketplace. We are approximately in, we believe we are north of the area today called Zimbabwe, way up in the north of this area. We do see there is a place where you trade pottery, gemstones, other precious things, sometimes even humans you trade to others. And with this, you bring prosperity to yourself and your family. Well, this was connected to a certain stigma in your lifetime, and you felt you were also persecuted for pursuing financial gain, for pursuing the pecuniary pleasures of life. And so, money in this lifetime is something that you want to learn the lesson of playing around with, and therefore, we sense that it would be helpful for you to consider on the sideline whether or not there are terms of free investment that you can move into. That is, we sense approximately 10 to 15% of your income you use to invest in things, and you learn lessons from these things, and some of them will grow and return profit to you. So that is the idea. We then sense for a day job that you may be interested in moving into something where you are also, we're getting the image of managing processes, and it has to do with you overseeing the movement of cargo. See, there is another life here on the high seas coming forward. This is a lifetime as a Japanese sailor. It is quite interesting that, well, this person, he is transporting. We return to the pottery again. And this is a type of glazed pottery. Here we are approximately in the year 1300. And so you would like to move up or scale up in the world with the type of valuables that you are handling, because there is also an attraction to what is shimmering and lovely, fine and well crafted in this world. And therefore there is a third path here we sense, both maybe as a hobby but also something that will grow you, and that is the getting your hands into clay and working with pottery. And so try to play around with these ideas and see where they will take you and where the waves will carry you as you move about as a piece of precious cargo on this ocean of existence. Much love, many blessings. Yes, and yes, AJ says hi. Hi, AJ. And Debbie says, I'm at work, so I have to be sneaky to watch you. Yes, of course. What could be more important than watching this live channeling? So glad you're here. Am I a starseed? How many times have I reincarnated, or am I on my first voyage? I'll try to sneak back here to watch in 22 minutes. Debbie. Well, yes. Hello, Debbie, old friend. You sometimes come to visit our ships, and few starseeds do. See, this is the idea that most people who are already attuning and opening to these galactic energies, they have a certain galactic configuration to them. And while we were, when addressing our friend Shamlal, also speaking of his earthly incarnations, there is also many galactic patterns in his configuration. And so as in yours, there are many galactic configurations. And so to say, yes, you are a starseed. See, the idea of how many incarnations you have. We again enjoy human sequential timing. We enjoy that you perceive the present moment as something that's finished, and then the future as something that is yet to come. And so the past, the idea that this finished process feeding into a moment that then, well, is sort of stagnant in its understanding of itself and on its place in the material, physical time space. It's not quite how we perceive reality in the sixth dimension, where we are also coming to you from one of our ships, we might like to add. And so that's why your reincarnation cycle, it's constantly shimmering and jumping. But if we were to tune into your own perspective, we would say approximately 83,452 incarnations is alive and feeding into your energy field in your past, so to speak. And those are incarnations that are alive now. And so when we say you are a dear friend, it is because there is also a partner here in your race, an entity or counterpart, or in our race, an entity or counterpart connected to you, and that is working with you. This entity or counterpart also goes by the name of Enki, and this Enki, well, he has a certain fondness for sharpening objects. And so these sharp objects, you can lend some of them astrally. Of course, we are speaking to use them as a type of diamond cutters and to open windows into your life to these higher dimensional starseed vibrations feeding into you. But know that there is an infinity of incarnations to come for your soul over soul, and therefore be happy in this present moment because you are here perfect as you are. And with love from us in your love that we sense, we thank you and bless you. Yes, and Nuabi Setup says, hello, what is my soul exactly? I sometimes feel like some kind of phantom shark stuff or sorry, I'll take it over. Hello, what is my soul exactly? I sometimes feel like some kind of phantom shark stuff or this illusion of a shark around me. I feel like I'm some kind of entity or undead. Okay, I wanted to get that straight, but let's see what he says. Well, your soul is an undying piece of eternity. And so your soul is, of course, we know we are operating here in human language. We had something similar in tonal codes that we transmitted between us before we learned the arts of telepathy. And therefore your soul is how you perceive it. But if we take the discernment that the higher self is a lower fractal of the soul, and the soul is or the higher self is the personal imprint pattern, whereas your soul is the higher imprint pattern. That is, your soul might be both connected to the aquatic and the predatory, and those are patterns you could find in the shark, but those are patterns that are present in all souls as they go through incarnational experiences. So your higher self is also a pure present energy that exists beyond the incarnational cycles, but it is connected more to the feedback loop that is completed by the mind-body complex that is you as you experience yourself. And this feedback loop, it concerns itself with, well, a certain deadness, let us say. And this has much to do with your present incarnation, that is to say, your most immediate personality. There are things that you would do well to acknowledge about yourself. We speak in particular of the years 5 to 8, where there was a type of deadening within you by, well, the influx of energies from other human beings, or the interactions of energies from other human beings that cut you off from your heart and sentient nervous system. And so it's this sense of survival. Notice that the shark is also a being that has to keep on swimming, or swimming and swimming and going, or else it dies, and it has to feed on things that it doesn't necessarily enjoy killing, but that is the way it goes about things. And so when you align with these predatory patterns and you allow yourself to accept that you were touched by some predatory energies, you will identify this deadened feeling more clearly. And the path and the cure for this is crying. It's accepting that love is available to you and flowing in. And therefore, allow yourself to shake and cry. Allow yourself also to identify with the things that have a body and an existence, and therefore might also be prone to hurting other living things for sustenance or out of confusion. These are things that can help you on your path. Know that you are only undead in the sense that you are eternal and that no harm can befall this eternal part of you. And therefore, you were created in this way with benevolent codes, and we would like to transmit a code to you of healing. Anyone present here, anyone receiving this can use it, but it is meant and tailored for you. Really, and you will in there. At the strong beams of blue light from the seven sister stars to you. Blessed human child, you are loved. And Jana says, "Good evening, Jana. Good to have you here." And I'll remind people to smash the like button to get more people to join us. I'm trying to remember to do these channel boosting things. And so another you says, "Hello, Galactic family." Hello, another you. Question: what areas should I be focusing my energies? Yes, greetings, friend. We sense you are someone who likes clear instructions, or that is to say, you like to build schematics that you create from your own excitement. And so play around with building schematics, play around with building systems, play around with building interfaces. Those things are things that might trigger your excitement. Then we would also give you a schematic answer that is physically, then focus on your toes, focus on connecting, and your heels, focus on softening the tense muscles in your feet. We would say professionally, focus on that skill of structure, of presentation, of connecting difficult elements into comprehensive structures that are accessible to others. We will say in your interpersonal relationships, focus on listening, focus on receiving, focus on opening up and letting things flow through you. In your spiritual life, focus on grounding, focus on connecting to the Earth Mother, focus on integrating the information that is rich within your heart and mind, and on the level of nourishment, focus on eating your spinach. That is also focus on strength and physical integrity, grounding. Greens are helpful in this. Much love to you, our friend. Blessed you are. And Laura, greetings and love to Mass Danver and everyone. Greetings and love to you, Laura. Hope you are well with everything. Um, and uh, and I'll just It's sorry. I'll figure out these questions. And Jana D asks question one: what is that subtlety insight that makes difference between when the dreams come true or not? Thank you. Yes, this is a good and helpful question. See, it is not necessarily the feeling that changes the dreams. It is rather the dreams that flow according to the feeling. And so if your dreams do not come true, it must mean that you are having the wrong dreams. We are playing a little with you here because you are, of course, perfect manifestors and creators, but you do attract things and anticipate things in from your future. You could say dreams are codes that embed themselves in your consciousness in order to attract and anticipate the patterns that your higher self is playing around with and wanting you to feel. Therefore, if you are dreaming about things that are contrary to this, you will not realize them. For instance, you may notice often what happens if you have had the experience of holding a lot of ill will towards a person, that you will find that this attracts ill will and negative experiences towards into your own life until you realize that, well, you are all human, as you say. I will even join you in saying we are all humanoids, and therefore we make errors, we err, and we matter in the fact that we make these mistakes and then understand them and try to correct them. And so, therefore, the idea, the special feeling, well, bodily, it has a lot to do with your gut, as you call it. It has a lot to do with this place between your navel point and your solar plexus. It has a lot to do with digestion. And therefore, believe it or not, also eating healthy can help a lot with the flow of manifestation. And that is because often the negative blocks are stuck in this area exactly. And when you allow for the digestive flow to move itself healthily, you also allow for the dreams that you want to manifest come into your life. But you can turn things into a burning desire. You can turn everything into a burning desire. And when it's a relentless focus, it's something that has to come into being. If it's a casual preference, examine that you may have other preferences, and then try to, if you would, reverse engineer these situations, because the situation that you find yourself in, the present that you are unwrapping, it is exactly the place you want it to be. And therefore, when you look into these patterns that are presented to you, ask yourself why you did prefer them, instead of necessarily always moving to the other preferred reality. Because when you have understood the things that you prefer, then you can clearly define that dreamlike pattern. And when there is a definition, a true wanting, a wish that is both a dream and intention and ambition and a trajectory, this manifests within your being, and then it has to be carried out into life. And that is something that is also becoming far and far far more evident to you. And so that thing you know as the Merkaba, you can treat it not only as a spaceship, but also as a magic cauldron. And when you pour your intentions into it and then seed them into your heart, they will be seated there and be fed with the energy, becoming present and allowed to grow, flourish, and proliferate into your life. Much love to you. May you manifest blessed dreams in your life. And Deb says, "I made it. That's great. And if you're still here, you can catch the answer to your question earlier." And Laura asks, "Thank you, Laura. That was so sweet. So here is the question from Shamlal. So So let's just read it for good order's sake. Greetings, Pleiades and Mess. I would love to know for any insights from my past lives that could inform career choices in my present time. I am looking for a transition. So that is that it was answered. I believe. I'm happy we remembered it correctly, and thank you so much for helping each other out. We'll get all the questions answered and all the rocks turned over that way. And I also hope everyone's weekend was awesome. The sun is finally here, as you may have noticed from the past backdrops. And then Laura says, "Oh, I will just find your question here, Laura. Much gratitude and love to you. I'd like to ask about an experience my son Aaron shared with me. He just told me, but it occurred about 4 years ago. When he was in trouble sleeping, he imagines himself floating in a lake murky with moss, etc. He sinks deeper into the lake with every in-breath. He says different things happen each time he does this process. As he descends, he turns over so he's looking down and sees a heavy chain in the water. Further down, he sees sea mines, large riveted metal spheres with entrance hatches. He stops at one, opens the hatch, and enters, but no water. And he's dry. Oh, this is a beautiful one. Sorry, the cursor just dropped. So he sees a heavy chain in the water. Further down, he sees sea mines, large riveted metal spheres with entrance hatches. He stops at one, opens the hatch, and enters, but no water. And he's dry once he's inside. The room is spherical and bigger inside than it looks from the outside. There's a pedestal in the center and banners with nebula and stars hanging above. The banners are waving, but there isn't a breeze. Then to the left of the entrance, he sees what looks like a white sort of lacy, opaque cloak with the outline of shoulders underneath, but he can't see the body. The head is triangular and golden in color, with brighter spots he perceived as eyes. He couldn't tell if it was liquid or plasma or light. Looking at the being, he felt compelled to spill his guts, telling the being everything about what he wants to do, ideas for inventions, and why and what his vision for humanity is. When he's done, he reaches out and takes one of the and is back out of in the water and then goes to sleep. A few days later, my dad offered to cover tuition so he could go back to school. Erin told me this experience, and then we watched a movie called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind by Dr. Stephen Greer, who created the CE5 protocol for human-initiated ET contact. In the movie, they had taken a picture of a light being. Erin was taken back because it was quite similar to what he had seen, although there was no cloak. Do you have a sense of who this being was that Aaron experienced, and more about why or what was happening? End. It's also a very beautiful story. You have a knack for telling stories, which is a pattern that's emerging this evening. Well, yes. Well, the best way to approach this being is seeing it as his higher self. You could also see it as a or an image or a symbol emanated from the 10th dimensional image of humanity. But see, that is a talk for another day, we sense, in the idea that this is something that was emanated back into this realm to attract you into this higher preferred reality. And so it was a sign that Erin was becoming attuned to the sequences of his own life, becoming attuned to the rhythms of his body. See these murky waters, it is the primordial ooze that he sinks down into, and it is the secrets of the cells that he dives into. They contain a far vaster physical space than the physical space than that he perceived them to be able to actually hold. This has to do with his calling and experience. It is within these cells that he unfolds, and it is within these fluctuating banners, these processes of life, these helixes turning and rotating even on their own sense of momentum. These are the things that were calling him into this dream. And so it was a very intense dream, aligning with this movie, this powerful synchronicity, and this image of himself, in order to show him that it was a dream of great significance, greater significance than the dreams that he sometimes had dreamt. And so when he sank into this murky waters, he was being called back to a space of himself, and noticed the vocalization, noticed this illustration of the relationship between the higher self and the individual human being, because he began speaking in visions, in intentions from his true calling, from, well, his power to, let us say, displace things in the world and to uncover things, share them with others, change the world and make it a better place. That is not only a cliche, it is also a calling within the heart of many human beings and many a light worker in particular. Therefore, it was necessary for him to have manifested this dream before he went back to school. So it was aligned with the idea that he was being guided in this process. And so he has kept a greater focus on his curiosity, his interests, and not dabbled so much in, let us say, the other more recreational activities of youth that often also are a part of, we know, your coming of age experience of going and studying something amongst your peers. Therefore, this is some of the interpretations, and notice also how this image works as a guided meditation. This story that we read, you can use this image yourself to go to the same place and have the same encounter with your higher self. He is blessed and loved. We remind you that as his mother, and we remind you that you are to love. Yes, and I think I perhaps missed a question here from AJ. Nowadays, gender expression has become quite interesting and complex in some ways. Some people embracing the idea of sexlessness altogether. Where's this going in terms of evolution of ideas? I wouldn't mind having a totally genderless body if I could. On the inside, I am unaligned. Fascinating question. Thanks for sharing. Yes. We believe exactly that you can be both androgynous and isogynous. You can express, well, feminine or masculine features and energies in your outside expression, and you can also contain both these energies in balance within yourself. Often, what happens to a person such as yourself, which has undergone many, let us say, lighter or meditative lifestyles, lifetimes, and in these lifetimes had lifestyles that, well, allowed for a great degree of contemplation. You have, for instance, had a life as a sadhu with mutilated genitals, where you decided to simply cut off those, well, pesky urges and not allowing them to reshape your physical body. And therefore, it is quite reasonable that you align with this energy, but also know that both the masculine and the feminine are forces of the universe, much as dark and light. These are expressions that are universal in the way that energy codes itself as a unity of opposites. And so, therefore, you may experience yourself, and we are speaking here to a male, you may experience yourself expressing female energies to yourself on the outside, sympathizing with the female body in its physical state that is empathetically experiencing what it might be like to have a female body. See, you of course also have female lifetimes. Then in the male expression, you find that this also sometimes appears as something that shuts itself off from the feminine. Seeing the one as inclusive, open, yielding, the other as, let us say, str- let us say, controlling, domineering, and shut off. That's the image we will use. But there is an interaction between these energies. They, of course, literally fertilize each other, and therefore you will see that once you move in your human history and your societies towards one energetic expression, the other will naturally also begin to come to the forefront. And so you are experiencing a lot of feminine energy complement the male energy and bring forward the childlike energy of wonder in the individuals. This is the era of the child, and so much as the child has, in a sense, no gender and both genders, and is still only a gender in waiting when it has not reached the stage you call puberty, then you can also see yourself as becoming that thing, something that plays around with these codes temporarily. You will begin to experience in your coming generations human beings that do not in the same way resemble the human beings of old. That is, people who change their physical structures. There will be people who go deeper into these spiritual realms, but there will also be people who go into the realm of physical altercation, the realm of playing with identities, the realm of aligning themselves with ideas, stories, energies, emotions, sensations, and feelings of themselves, rather than dictates and names that were used to structure your mental experience while it was still residing in the 4D. Those are some of the things, and you are all free to choose. From our perspective, it illustrates the richness of the human experience. But know that you can never get beyond gendered energy without you also dematerializing somewhat And so even though you possess both and no genders in your spiritual life, you still are running system of hardware that has gender configurations, and you can play around with these as much as you want, but it is impossible to be without a gender, even though those genders may combine very fine nuances and become more and more also influenced by the realm of human creation, creativity, and technology. Our love and blessings to you, dearest friend. And Autumn Rose asks an open questions for a personal message. So yes, blessings. What message do you have for me? Thank you and much gratitude. Well, we sense that the sound of water is something that you would do well in aligning with. The more you can allow yourself to, well, have this tone of the stream playing in the background or seeking out bodies of water, be they small or grand. This is something that will massage you open. See, there's a grief that's sitting approximately, or grief sitting approximately in your right calf in the middle. It's a type of tension, and it has to do with the experience of loss. We sense here tuning into past life. This is an existence on a battlefield. We are getting a battle taking place in Belgium, which we of course know is not specifically particular information, but we do sense it might have, we believe, to do with those conflicts known as the Austrian War of Succession. And here there was a leg that was severed, and this pain you have carried onward in your energetic body. And so the more you can rotate your right ankle, get flexibility into your knee, massage this place, and allow for the water also to stream within to clear out these spaces and purify them. That is the message that we sense would be helpful for you to receive this day. Know that you are also loved, and the multidimensional, it is growing around you, within you, and in your past, future, present, now. Blessings and love. And Sailesh asks, I have decided to upgrade my driving license and thinking about changing my workplace soon. Any insights, probable outcomes, suggestions that you are able to give regarding this decision is welcomed. Yes, we sense the decision is already made, and therefore it is helpful for you to allow yourself to know that. So do not come into a moment of regret when you change your workplace, because you have already experienced things here where that were meaningful and helpful to you, but the call to move on is coming from within, and we sense that it would be helpful for you to, well, get into another context and experience yourself within that. It will also help, we could say, grow a sense of competency. You already are very competent and you also feel this way, but we could say it's been arising and expressing itself in you more recently, and therefore it would be good for you to come into a place where you have this, we could say, more also integrated, invested, and outspoken energy about you. And therefore, it's helpful, and it's also good for you that you then learn something new to be able to, let us say, reboot your professional format, such as you are moving into. And that is the place that you are going, and this decision has been made, and therefore it is supported by the higher self, and you will find enjoyment in this shift. Blessed you are. Love to you. I'll just see if someone, if we're getting to first to getting to second questions. There might be I think that there might be a few more first questions. And Nuavi says thanks for the healing. Thank you for receiving. And then Senisen says hello to all. Hello and love to you. And I'll just answer this questions. Another user says, have your psychic abilities increased? Any unusual experiences with any of these new entities? Well, yes, it keeps growing all the time, and I've promised I better do like a separate video on it. Like any of you who have been keeping up for a long time, my life is it has been changing rapidly since I got into channeling, and I really have the sense of an energetic frequency change in my immediate experience, which sort of changes all my senses and make me more attuned to this. And I get that this is really about the dimensional shift and being attuned to it. So I really feel in perfect timing and very supported by well, by the heavens in this, and this of course manifests in all the support and love that you also show this practice. And I often have the feeling of certain entities showing up and guiding me at certain stages, but they do manifest much as you would think like as ghosts, but with a very, very positive bright signature, with this sort of disturbance of the atmospheric layers and then the ethers, and you can sense their presence and then tune into it. I also talk to God a lot, but that's I think a lot of people do, and I just listen when he answers, and everyone can do that as well. So yes, I think about that, but thank you for asking. I think I'll do a video about it someday. And then Sense asks, I have connected with one beautiful man. I can feel sometimes his higher self. What connection we had in other incarnations, and what is his higher self name? Thank you very, very much. Love you. Well, his higher self's name is, well, the iridescent glow, shimmering, translated into sound of 1,000 symphonies playing at once. That's a way you could perceive it, though you would be able to hear all these 1,000 symphonies um, play in concert, and yet with their separate beauty. That is to say, we do not wish to self to name if there's a certain vibration that he can attune to, and there's a certain guide that maybe aligned with his higher self wants to hand it to him. We sense that he can have that. We also sense that since you say that you listen to his higher self, that name, it will come to you and be spoken once you are prepared, and it will resonate with the both of you. Well, you have had many incarnational patterns. We see here a type of, is the name mollusk, or it's these type of clam-like creatures. If you were to imagine something, it's on a sea world far, far away, and the seas that they're more pink in character, and so it's sort of like a thing between a mollusk and what are they called? Those jellyfish they are called, and and so here is an existence where you sort of just beam slow signals to each other through these waterways. If you want to go into human existences, there is another type of relationship here. This relationship is playing out on the island of Sicily. We are getting, and well, here you are his, well, you have sort of taken him as a slave girl that you have then freed and married. So that's the idea. We are approximately here again in the 960s, turbulent time we sense. And so we also sense there's quite a lot of turbulence in this relationship. You have also been enemies at a lifetime. We sense recently here there is a lifetime where both of you cease to exist on the Eastern Front. And so these are some of the experiences feeding into it, though there is also a lifetime here in, we believe this area, it corresponds approximately to the country you call Bolivia, but here there is a lifetime in the jungles where you live a happy family life. These are some of the patterns that feed into your connection. And we again encourage you to enjoy the emotions and as they arise, and examine and collect them, but also let them go and know that emotion is a passing current that animates humanoid life. Blessings to both of you. Blessings to your union and the connection you feel together in the presence of each other. Much love. And Adelina asks, hello, Adelina, good to have you here. Hello, beloved Mass and Pleiades. My love to you, our love to you. I will appreciate any permission slip for entering into channeling state with you in a faster way. Thank you. Yes. Well, what you do is you can play the game of separation. So again, if you take your Merkaba, when you have done a little energy work, a little meditation work, you have separated yourself from the immediate currents of the everyday that's running through you. And then you, in your visionary state or in that state of vision, you bring forward the Merkaba. And in that, you pour your own ingredients, and then you see the entity contacting you, pouring its own ingredients, and then you sit it back in your heart. And there you should sense a type of energetic integrity. This is a powerful technique, and we advise you only to do it with high vibrational benevolent entities. But if you seat it there in your heart, it will begin to intertwine with your energy, and that will help bring forward the channeling state much quicker. Well, then there is also the advice of using tapping. And as you tap, bring forward a tone. And you see the fingers drawing spirals here, because maybe the tapping will turn into other intuitive motions, but that is a way to enter into that state. And if you do that for a couple of minutes, you will be in an altered state where you will be sort of blanked out, but still present and conscious. And here you can tune into that energy you have placed in your heart. So we thank you for that question, and know that you are very guided and very blessed in serving as an instrument of the heavens in this. Much love to you. And Paul Farstar says, hello all. Hello, Paul. Good to have you here. And Shyam says, anxious channeling, and thank you to Laura Eddies for copy pasting the question earlier. Namaste. Yes, thank you to the both of you and Laura. Send some hearts. And Hologenics says, good evening, humanoids. Good evening, humanoid in Exmoor, of all places. That magic heath over there. I hope the alchemy is good this evening. Good to have you with us, Aurel. And then I think we can. I think there will be time for a few special questions, but I'm just back from visiting friends down south here a few hours earlier, so I'll also keep it at around an hour and a half today. And Hussein says, is there a message for me today for my spiritual growth? Yes, the message that is coming through is, and the song that was we believe it's perhaps called Frankie Says Relax, or it's this 80s tune with relax, go do it. Or so it's the idea that you can align with the action that's already flowing through you. So there is a narrative in your existence, and there is a line that's guarding you, a strand of faith that you are holding on to, and that's leading you forward. And so if you relax, you will notice that your hand is still holding on to that strand of faith. It can't let it go. It always leads you, because in a sense it's your lifeline. And so that's the place that you can move into. That's the wonderful place where things are allowed to be, and therefore you can fully enjoy and experience them in the present moment. That is the place that we would like you to go into. And we sense that, well, a lot of relaxation, you personally and of course everyone, but you personally could gain by focusing on your chest area and your heart cavity. So, for instance, allowing yourself to collapse here and then straighten yourself, and allowing yourself to collapse here and straighten yourself. And then you will feel there is a type of wind of relaxation, of a soothing, upward carrying wind that is present within your experience, even without you pushing. Many blessings in this blessed you are. Love to you. And Liliana Kiana says, "Hi Al, hi Liliana, good to have you with us." And Citizen says, "Thank you, thank you." And And AJ asks a question here, if we have time for second questions, and I'll answer this now by saying that you should show up to the next one, because it will be the reptilians. So come there and explore your connection to reptilian energy, which is what you're exploring, because we'll be working with the draconic and stuff there. And then I'll go back and look here. And it's and this is just a quick questions from Nuaba sets up that's whether they call themselves the Tagitans, and they're just saying that no, they're connected to them, but it's not their race exactly. And I've heard this name come up, but I haven't explored any connections to them. But it's a nice word, at least. It's Tagitans. I'm getting a related but slightly different vibration from them. Um, and I'll look here. And Jana asked question two: who will be my first guide that I'll be able to connect to in the waking state? That's for you to find out. They're saying. I can say that for me it was connected, for instance, to a childhood visible friend. So it was like a pattern that emerged from that. So go exploring, because that's the best way to connect to those guides. And they are right. They are right there, waiting for you. Um, and another U.S. There was a huge mothership that recently was seen flying across the northern U.S. Who were they? Well, this was a vessel of the Galactic Alliance, so many entities were present, but this one was commanded by Yael entities, though it was a Fendorian design, and so it may have looked differently, but there's a great deal of cooperation going on with the changing of the energy grids. And when you see these vessels, it's often a sign that you are moving into an understanding of, well, first contact and communication. So be excited and go exploring. We are often present in the night times, and right now, even though I am seated in the energy right now of Alcyone drawing on, we cannot retrieve the name from the mind of the channel. We believe it is also with a T and an A perhaps, and it's coming from the star when you look at the constellation, perhaps in the center of the right. And those are energies I am beaming in, but I am also focused right now in the middle Atlantic around the islands of the Azores. And so these are exciting times to be a part of, both for us and for you. Yes. Um, I think there was another, I just believe another, oh, if I remember it correct, here it is. How can we take advantage of these new energies coming in June? That's a good question. And it's a proper day for an energy update. Well, how can you be so sure, friends, that the energies are not taking advantage of you? Well, we are putting it the other way around, because the best way that you take advantage of them is by, well, bringing an umbrella that's strong enough to also be able to, well, bring an umbrella and roller skates, so when it's raining you can put the umbrella up over your head, and when the wind is on, you can put it forward and then allow yourself to be pulled in the direction that you want. So that is to say that it will require some personal discernment from you, what you want to shield yourself from and what energies you want to open from. And you can simply, when you sense positive energies, open to them and then allow yourself to be carried forward in this. That is a very helpful way of approaching these energies. This June is proliferating with, we could say, tension energies, because, well, partially sunshine is being added to the consciousness of most humans, but also partially you are seeing the sense of fear and also the sense of constraint being alleviated. And with that, you sense energy seeping out, volatility wanting to come into your experience, and also sometimes wanting to come out of you and into the experience of others. Therefore, remember that your aura is an energetic umbrella. If you use it wisely, you can use it to shield yourself at the right moments and use it as a sail to travel to new and adventurous shores when you prefer and sense that the winds and currents are right. Much love. We will be working with you this summer. We are ramping up our work with you, dear humans. Yes, I think there is, Laura says, this is the second question if time allows, but I have a doctor's appointment, so I'm posting now. I have been told I have some alignment with Pleiadians from Maya. I wonder if there is a particular being that works with me, and if so, what I could call them, and if they have a message for me. My love and gratitude to you. We are getting the name Aliana. It's very radiant star energy. You may notice, if you are discerning, that the vibration of the vocal cord has changed slightly as this vibration attaches to the entity or energy that is being channeled here. And so it's a higher vibrational energy than that sweet Danver, who may also have some sternness to him. This is an energy of love. It's an energy of crystal architecture. It sits within the core of Maya. It allows for information to be codified. It allows for a library to be kept. And so you could think of this as the Akashic librarian of your soul group. She, this entity, and we get again the vibration Lina Anna, Ali Anna. Yes, Ali Anna, she is saying this is, well, a type of reconfigurator of these archives. She is writing down the books of great wisdom, and that is the comfort that she is lending to you. It is words of solace, it is words of help, it is words of remembrance, it is words of light. If you would like to, she can speak light language through you if you allow yourself to do that. That is something you can play around with. You are blessed regardless. Our love. Yes, and thank you for being here when you see this, Laura. And Autumn Rose says thank you so much. Blessings. And Ketul says the basis of this existence is consciousness. Could there be infinite other expressions of self completely fundamentally different from this existence that none of us have any idea about? It's a very good, very philosophical question, and good to have you here. Yes. See, this is where we enter into the paradox of, well, the idea of infinite worlds, that you are both everything and you are one particular thing. And so you are a complete universe unto yourself. And in that universe, a lot of the things that you are conscious as and you are conscious of, they don't come into contact with the you that's focused as a person. So you could say that other people that you never meet, they're in a sense that self of you that's so different that it's not conscious of you and you are not conscious of it. That's an idea of saying that the entire universe is constructed by you and around you, but that around you, that, well, that you is still also all the other parts that you are playing that part of. But there is, in a sense, a parallel universe, and there are, so this level, this truth repeats on many levels. So there are parallel universes that are so different from this one that they never come into resonance or contact. There are also parallel universes that have a type of, you could say, interuniversal pull on the forces that work in this universe and vice versa. So there are some existences that you are having in parallel lifetimes, referring to the infinite timelines that you are going through, that resonate so much with you that they have a pull, and that can be a future pull, or it can also be a type of horizontal pull of shifting you to one vibration or the other. But there is also the idea within here that, well, there are experiences that you are having where you have altered so differently in your trajectory from when it split off from that original experience, then it no longer resembles what you would think of as you. And so that's why you don't recall or remember or come into contact with this. So the idea of becoming multidimensional is essentially that more of these images are coming into together at once and integrating. And that is something that's helpful to our communication with you guys as a species too. Much love and many blessings. We hope this complexity will begin to seat in your hearts where it is easier understood. The mind cannot necessarily make sense of this paradox completely. Um, yes, and um, and Liliana, and Cleana, and there was those beautiful combinations of syllables again. Question: is there any spiritual message for me? Thank you. Yes, there is the message of awakening lightning. We are getting the image of a dragon riding ahead of the storm coming forward, the storm being an inner storm, the storm being an emergence of rain clouds that gather within you around your energy center of the neck and the throat, and then allow for that rain to rain down on it and see all the seeds that have been hidden in that dry soil sprout and take shape and grow out of your head and your skull to expand on your spirit. You are becoming, with the aid of this dragon that guards this entrance, you are becoming, well, the guardian of a powerful paradise, a lovely garden that grows many fruits and many secrets. And so cultivate this place within yourself and know that the dragon, it always opens for you, and it is also always up for a conversation and a cup of tea if you should want to connect with it. So go to your garden that has sprouted from desert soil with this powerful advent of rain that has come upon your spirit life as a blessing. Much love, many blessings to all. Um, yes, yes, I think I will wrap it up here. We're coming on the 1 hour and a half hour mark, and I'm a little woozy today. And I think last time I blamed it on the retrograde, but this time we actually are in a retrograde. I believe. But another you asked a couple of questions for me. I said, "Are you going? Hey, Mads, are you going to do a transmission with the IL and the coming open contact event?" I have no idea about the open contact event, but if it's a human thing, then let me know, and if it's an astral thing, I'm happy to ask the IL about it one of these coming days and find out about it. And then you also ask, are you able to connect with anyone that you wanted? Do you need permission from them first? Well, essentially, I do need permission, but it's like a frequency band, so I can just tune into the frequency. But I do sometimes come upon energies that I don't like the seraphim that won't let me channel them, and I also don't channel people's higher selves and stuff. Like I have the idea that maybe I could, like hack into people's minds and retrieve data from them, but that type of black magic I don't roll with. So essentially, all the information that I'm giving to you guys is information that I'm being presented from your higher selves and being allowed to give. So that's an element of it. Um, but so yes, I think I think so. We're coming up on the hour and a half mark. I've planned. I'm moving about. So I'm shifting sceneries again this week and plan to be there for some weeks. But that should have proper internet. And I've arranged a new live stream for Sunday next week. So Sunday the 13th, and that will be. 1700 hours if you are in Central Europe, and so that means that it will be 11 a.m. on the Eastern Seaboard in New York, and that will be with the dragon guides and everything. And other than that, we'll see you in the videos, and I'll put out some stuff, and it was just a pleasure being here, and thank you for sharing the love and the energies. I hope you are well out there, and be blessed. And hey, I'm just reminded we always finish with I don't know where my head is today. We always finish with a prayer and everything. So let's get some light language from our friend Danver and let him have the blessings and see you off. And I'll just end after that. So thank you guys. Much love to you. Yes, you see our dear friend here is a little overwhelmed by the strong energies coming into this time space and the many changes taking place on his own personal channeling journey connected to the spiritual growth that you are all experiencing. All of you may feel a little flummoxed as you move into June, but it may be, well, then changed, metamorphosized into a sense of positivity and promise. You will see opportunities take place, and you will see UFOs in places you did not expect. It is simply an object created from higher intentions, passions, vibrations. And with that, I leave you with a prayer spoken in our dialect of the light language and a blessing in yours. Eller elenkel enakatekel elambatekel elu etelelula elemenakante. Ubedengidao eraninuel elu elefanankele etekeni. Eminangidi get at the aeni catelia tikitas quatic inticale to etikate ele kata dat irleun empelete etuka eli atu akit un amene ava elum ene he ume ane atekate au le ave nui ele mete wa afrika tim paketi e plus takate enim pal. So the story you tell yourself, it is also being told. You are both the ears and the mouth, and so you are both teller and listener. Begin to tell yourself more fabulous things, because the fabulous, it is present within you, and it will become present without, in this lifetime, foretold so long ago, to be the one where you awaken to your true selves. Much love to you, sweet humans, from the race that seeded you, that loves you, that guides you, that leads you from darkness to light and into the galactic brotherhood of love. Peace. And Simon Mills asked me if I can channel Zeus. I'll consider it. See if he comes through what the resonance is. But the suggestions are very welcome. So I'm looking forward to the experiment. Be well out there. Much love.